Hello everyone, this is Jabra again with more Old Testament, and this week chapters 28 to 33, which is called in Hebrew Vayetzi, which means and he left, talking about Jacob leaving Bersheba and heading back to Haran. And that's a part where he will uh, marry Rachel and Leah, have the encounters with Laban. Lots of rich material in this parasha, in this part of Genesis. This is the story of the beginning of the Jewish nation as we will come to know it in the scriptures. The 12 tribes of Israel, their fathers are born, and their trip back to the land of promise. Now, so far, I hope you've noticed the pattern. The Lord is giving these promises to the patriarchs. He's promising them land, family, children, prosperity, and they are getting parts of the promise, but not the whole thing, because they are living in the promised land. Isaac is living in the promised land. Abraham was living in the promised land, but they were always under the rule of other rulers. So they are not in political control of the area. They are not the control, so to speak, of the deeds of the land. They are just there. They know it's theirs, but they don't have possession of it, so to speak. But they have to go back. And this pattern always symbolized to me that the Lord will give us promises, and in our lifetime we might see the fulfillment of some of those promises, and some of those things that are fulfilled in our lives are stepping stones maybe to the people who follow us for the promises to be fulfilled. But I'm getting ahead of myself now. So where we've been, the last segment, we had the episode of Jacob, Esau, and Rebecca. Jacob stealing the barakah, Esau's barakah. But one thing I forgot to say in the previous segment is, even though Jacob got a barakah, a blessing, he didn't get that full blessing. He didn't get the blessing of land and posterity. He didn't get the full sort of Abrahamic blessing. And I think it's because Isaac wasn't completely sure about who he was giving the blessing to, but it was the beginning of the blessing. And Esau, of course, doesn't get a blessing. He gets actually Jacob's blessing, but in reverse order. He's going to live by the sword. He's not going to have rain. He's not going to have the bounty of the earth. And so the closing scene of the last parasha, the last segment, was with Jacob coming back, his father, and that's chapter 28, the first half of it is where the parasha closes. Jacob comes in and he is getting the full blessing, and his father is sending him out of Beersheba and commanding him to go and marry a woman from Haran, from Padan Aram, from his family, which Jacob commences to do. And Esau, on the other hand, maybe trying to recover the blessing, maybe to be good in his father's eyes, he doesn't want to go all the way to Padan Aram. He doesn't want to go all the way to Haran to get married, but he goes and marries an Ishmaelite. Now remember, there is the Ishmaelites and Isaac, they are cousins, so he goes and marries an Ishmaelite, basically and the ancestors of the Arabs. And hoping by that he will redeem himself with his family. Here, I married someone who belongs to our family. I didn't, and the Hittite women, the Canaanite women that I married are now evil in my eyes. So that's where we ended. That's where we ended that segment. Now, in this segment, and I'm going to talk about the rest of chapter 28, Jacob's ladder today. In this segment, Jacob leaves Beersheba. He leaves the control, the house of his father, and he apparently has left empty-handed. It doesn't seem that he has anything with him. He just left with the clothes on his back, as it seems. And he arrives at this place called Bethel. Bet is house, El is Elohim, God, the house of God. And when the sun set, he takes stones and he basically builds a bed and he sleeps on the bed. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have a bedding to sleep on. He doesn't have material for a tent. This is a situation where you're sort of, if you're in a temple situation, when we go to the temple, we're all wearing white. We take off, our valuables. We leave them in a closet in the temple, and we're basically in sort of an equal state with everyone else around us in the endowment room. And I think this is a similar situation. He's in the house of God and he is without anything. And he sees this vision. He sees this ladder. And the ladder is touching heaven, and angels are coming and going. They're descending and ascending. And that reminds me always of when the Savior talks about it's in John, I think, John 1:51 chapter, when he talks about the angels ascending and descending on the Son of Man. So the same situation is happening here with Jacob, and some of the Jewish rabbis say they see in this a symbolism of when he left Beersheba, he had certain angels accompanying him to protect him. And now the angels are sort of changing guards, and he's getting the angels who will guard him as he travels to Haran, and as he lives there. But that is speculation by the Jewish rabbis, but I really like it. It's a beautiful kind of metaphor. But we know for sure that there is these angels, and they are ascending and descending on him, and he sees the Lord in a vision, and he gets the full Abrahamic promise. So now he's gotten the full Abrahamic promise. But the thing is, remember when we talked about Berit, when we talked about covenants, Berit means to cut. I told you that every time there is a covenant made or a patriarch receives the covenant, there is a cutting that's happening. Now, there is cutting in here, but it's not in the obvious places that there is no sacrifice, because remember, Jacob has nothing with him. And unlike with Abraham, I don't think the Lord is planning to provide in this case. He wants to see what Jacob will do, and there is still more testing that Jacob has to go through. So, but the angels are coming in and out of heaven, so the heavens are open. So there is a cutting happening in the heaven to allow the angels to come in and down. And then when Jacob wakes up, he feels this fear of the Lord in him. He realizes what he's seen. He's taking the covenant seriously now, and he does the ceremony where he anoints the stones that he slept on with oil, and he commits that place as a place of worship. And he makes a promise that he sort of now is doing his part of the covenant. He's promising a sacrifice, and he says, if the Lord preserves me, if he gives me bread to eat and raiment to put on, and enabled me to go back in safety to my father's house, and if he was my aid and support, then this stone that I have dedicated here will be a house of God. So he's sort of committing to build a temple or a place of sacrifice. And then here is the sacrifice that he promises, that he will give the Lord a tenth of everything that he will have. Now this is also a cutting, a promised cutting. Will take a part of his property, of what the Lord will bless him with, and he will give it back to the Lord. So there is a berit happening here. And then there is a little detail in this segment, in this chapter, which is the name of the village that this Bethel is by, which is Luz. Luz is Luz in Arabic and in Hebrew is almonds. So, what is the significance of that? I want you to look at Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 11 and 12, and let me read those to you. This is a dialogue between Jeremiah and the Lord. And the Lord asked me, "What do you see, Jeremiah?" I said, "A branch of an almond tree." Verse 12, the Lord then said, "You are right, for I am watching over my word until it is fulfilled." The Lord asked me again, "What do you see?" That's verse 13. So I got carried away. But again, let me reread verse 12. The Lord then said, "You are right, for I'm watching over my word until it is fulfilled." So there is a promise there that the Lord has made. Promises were exchanged, and the name of the village is symbolic, the almonds. The Lord is going to watch, and we'll see if the promise will be fulfilled. So this is where the story is so far. Uh, Jacob is going empty-handed. He's going to Haran to find a wife. He doesn't have anything to give whoever is going to be his father-in-law. Unlike Eliezer, who gave a fortune to Rebecca's family, he has nothing, and so he's basically going to have to be a self-starter somehow and figure out a way to get his bride, pay for her, and fulfill the covenants. So this is what I have for this segment. Thank you for listening, and please try and visit the Facebook page if you can, and leave me comments there, and let me know if you have any preferences or if you have any ideas or things that you want me to specifically address or talk about. I'd love that. Thank you so much.